Welcome to the Windows Computer and Technology channel. And yesterday we talked about Windows. We talked about all sorts of things, and I talked about how each version of Windows had some moment of ranting and hate from users, and that is every version of Windows. And a lot of you actually had the same idea at the same time. How about you talk as a tech guy of your favorite Windows? And I thought, even better, how about I go through every version of Windows since Windows 3.1. We're going to ignore Windows 1 and 2 because it wasn't used much. Most people were still in DOS at that time. So the first real version of Windows that took on, that people had, was mostly Windows 3.1 and 3.11. So we're going to go through each version of Windows. I'll give my impressions, and if we have demonstrations possible, we'll do it. So here we have actually a fully functioning web version of Windows 3.1. So it's kind of an emulation online. I'll actually share the link in the description if you want to go and play a little bit with that. So Windows 3, built on DOS. So if you guys remember, you had to issue the win command to have it working. That thing worked on, well, I'm trying to remember the first machine I had, Windows 3.1. I think it was on a 486 or something like that I had, and it was running Windows 3.1. It was, of course, a new world of discovery for PC. I had been at that time many years with DOS, and kind of used to DOS with all the commands, and making that batch file to load the CD-ROM and so on was getting a little tiresome. Even though Windows 3 was actually a DOS-based program, it was a breakthrough for Windows PCs, because the only other PCs that had graphic user interface were very expensive Macs, or you still had things like the Amiga, for example, or the Atari ST. Those had some graphic user interface that were pretty advanced. I still have here an Amiga 500, and I gotta say, for the time, that was really advanced and even better than a Mac, actually, in my honest opinion. But the world doesn't work with what's best necessarily goes on forward. It was a breakthrough because I still remember buying my first CD that had multimedia files on it that you could play a small video. And that was like, wow, I could watch videos on my computer. This is so cool. The interface was simple, but, it was what we wanted. Of course, if you could look at it here, you could see that there's the control panel, famous control panel. So it goes long, long way back. The problem is crashing. It would crash quite a lot, and we would often have to restart the PC or restart Windows. That was a common occurrence, and it was a common occurrence for a few versions of Windows after that too, which we'll talk about. But it was a breakthrough, and I think it was the first real usable Windows system on a PC. And it was, we would share the DOS and the Windows at the same time, because it was kind of a transition mode. We would still use quite a lot of DOS apps and programs, and also Windows apps. And even though it gave us the possibility to run some DOS, MS-DOS stuff, the thing is often you need it to just run in pure DOS rather than having Windows run in the background. So kind of interesting when you look at it, and how different it feels and looks when you look at this system. And I got to say that it feels weird to see this today. And of course, all the original stuff. How many people played solitaire back then? Pretty crazy when you think about it. I would give this, so every Windows version I'll talk about, I will give a from an appreciation from 1 to 10, I'll give Windows 3 a 8 out of 10, because it was kind of the breakthrough Windows that made way for what was next. And I think it's worth noting that a lot of people used it, and a lot of people were happy to finally have something that was, not just a black screen with a little cursor, and also easier to use because you didn't have to start doing all of these cryptic commands to have things working. And overall, on most systems, it ran quite fast. It was of course a very small operating system compared to today's, gigabytes Windows, but it ran fast on most of the systems that were running it, and this is definitely something cool. As you see here, it ran on a lot less memory and a lot less system resources than back in the old days, where the funny thing is today, of course, we have digital licenses and all sorts of things like that. But back then, it was like, you just installed it. No internet, of course. There's no internet on Windows 3. No Internet Explorer. We wouldn't go on the internet. We would probably still be going on the bulletin board systems, BBSs with, standard modems and things like that. It was pretty much what people did with Windows 3, if they actually were online in some way. And, it was fun to also go out. I've always been a kind of a gamer on PC. Go out and buy these games that would say, hey, this is compatible Windows 3, and pretty cool stuff when you think about it. Maybe you would like to know one thing. What were the minimum requirements for Windows 3 on a computer? And that is definitely a game changer, or a very different thing from today. So the minimum requirements on Windows 3 was an 8386 processor or higher. So that was before the Pentiums and the Intel cores and what do you want. 3 megabytes of RAM or more. You needed 14 megabytes of space on the hard drive. And you needed the 3.5 or 5.25 inch floppy, and that was for the install disks, because it came in so many different discs that it was just crazy. You had to put the disc, and if you had one of the discs that would like go bad, it was like, oh god, one of my discs is bad, I can't install Windows. And people would, of course, be swapping and sharing discs and all. So pretty crazy. The original Windows 3 actually was able to work actually on a 286 PC with 1 megabyte of RAM. But and of course having a CGA, but better. If you had a VGA display, was the best that you can have for high resolution and high color. Might sound weird, but back then, people were still mixed in computers with CGA, EGA, or VGA graphics. Crazy when you think about it. So I hope you enjoyed this look at the past. And of course, like I said, 8 out of 10. I think, wasn't perfect. But it just started the whole Windows thing, and that was really fun, and changed the PC starting from there. If you enjoy our videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching our videos, and I hope that you enjoy this look at older systems and my little personal opinion and take on each system.